Welcome to Confessions Beyond the Food. I'm your host, Nancy Ridlen. Let's dig in and get inspired. Hi, welcome back to Confessions Beyond the Food. My name is Nancy Ridlen. I'm with W3 Sales, and today I'm joined by Rebecca. She is the CEO of More Than Mixology. So excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we just did this really fun event. She created the most beautiful drinks. I wanted to drink all of them.
Which one was your favorite?
The grapefruit. Which one was that called?
The French Blonde.
The French Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Taylor Swift's favorite cocktail.
Yes. You know what? I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, but come back. I do like her music. I did upload her latest album, and I've been listening to it because I had my niece in my car and wanted to be, the cool aunt.
Yes.
So, but you're a big Swiftie?
I am a big Swiftie. I wasn't always, and my sister kind of forced me into liking her. So at first I was like just kind of doing it to appease my sister, and then I got into it, and we've seen her 3 times now, and it's a lot of fun. It's a cool community. It was cool at Taylor Swift's concerts and at Beyonce's concerts because everyone is being so nice to each other. It's like the whole world should go to one of these concerts just so they can see how to treat other people. So it's not just the music and the costumes and the drama and all that stuff. It's a cool community.
That's interesting because
I sound psychotic.
No,
That's like
no. Because everybody that has gone to one of their concerts gets out of there and they're like, I wasn't a fan and I'm in love with her.
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy is one of them. Macy on our team, Tracy and Macy, they were like, you need to go to a concert. You don't understand it until you go.
She's a really great performer. Beyonce too. I think I levitated at the Beyonce concert. It was just fun. I do too.
Love her.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's awesome. So you're from Texas.
Yes.
Are you from here?
I was born in Galveston. My family's from Galveston, and then I grew up in Texas City, which is it's a little refinery town right outside of Galveston. Yeah.
Nice. I've heard of Texas City, so
it was a good place to grow up. It's a smaller town. My dad owned a lumberyard, and just small town stuff. I got in trouble a lot, but my mom ran the museum in Texas City, so that was a lot of fun. We would do like the window, like set up the windows and stuff like that. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think there would be a museum, but it's home to the largest industrial disaster in the history of the United States, April 16th and 17th, 1947.
Nice.
So there's like a lot of information about the disaster and how they rebuilt, and then like the industry and things. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but
no, that's amazing. We'll have to go to Texas City.
Yeah, it's a small town, like I said, but it was fun. I was a cheerleader. My sister was on the drill team, and just Friday Night Lights, like we lived it pretty much.
Yeah. So you after high school, so how did you start? How did you get involved in this world?
So I started. I started working in restaurants. I'm trying to think of what my first job was. There's a place in Galveston called Moody Gardens, and I was a cashier at the restaurant there. And it's got it has a rainforest and an aquarium and a beach. And I was the cashier at the restaurant. And then I worked at like Joe's Crab Shack, and I just always came back to the restaurant industry. So when I graduated from high school, I started at University of Houston. And when I moved to Houston, I started working at a restaurant downtown called Liberty Noodle. There was one here in Dallas, and it was just the coolest vibe. It was kind of like, and I was 19, I guess. And so it was like that kind of time where I was impressionable, and everyone that worked there had a really different background, and it was just a melting pot of different people. And I loved it. I loved working downtown. And that's when I started bartending, and I would bartend at as many restaurants and clubs as I could. And I went to school for a lot of things, but mostly broadcasting. I actually worked for Telemundo for a little while, and I just always went back to the industry. I mean, I worked in nightclubs, I worked in restaurants, I worked in honky-tonk bars, and then I really, really fell in love with hotels. And so I started working at the Hilton in downtown at their lobby bar, and that's when I really learned about mixology. Tony Abuganim wrote a book called The Modern Mixologist. And so I was like, I had my little, what is that movie, Julie and Julia, where she like makes all of Julia Child's recipes. I went through his book and I was like, I'm going to make every recipe in this book. And the Hilton was great. They were like, tell us what you need. And I really fell in love with, handcrafted cocktails and fresh ingredients and the techniques and everything behind it. And so I left Hilton. I worked at a bar downtown called Reserve 101, which is a just fabulous cocktail bar. They've got like 150 different whiskeys. They did at the time. I mean, they probably have more now. And then I went to Hotel Icon and I started doing their cocktail program there. I worked with some really great chefs, just really great people. And then I worked at an agency for 12 years as their director of mixology.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what have you seen like in the industry change, like as far as like cocktails go? And I mean, just the need for innovation and basically that mixology is a thing. It's not just a thing, and it's not just something.
It's not right.
A hobby or anything like that. Not a hobby, but I don't know.
It's interesting. I think so much has changed. I think that there's a lot more respect for the industry from a public perspective now. And it's not kind of this thing where it's like, I'm bartending to get through college, or I'm bartending it can be a means to an end. And I think that people in the industry have a lot more respect for each other. And that's really important. As far as the cocktails and things like that, I mean, so much changes. It changes all the time, and you see these trends and you can kind of tell when something's going to be a flop or it's not going to, catch on. And then you've got, the Moscow Mules of the world that when cocktails become their own category, it's pretty interesting to think about how those evolve. But I've done some cool beverage programs or LTOs that I thought were great and were going to do really well, and they completely bombed. And then I've made cocktails that I wouldn't drink necessarily or don't love, and they do really well for different accounts. So it's kind of hard to keep your finger on the pulse, especially in national accounts, But I would say, to me, just the respect for the industry as a whole has changed for the better, and I think that's pretty exciting.
It's amazing. I mean, that's the best part that's one of the best parts of, dining out is like, what cocktail am I going to start out with? Mm-hmm. I mean,
what do you start out with?
Yeah.
What's your go-to?
I love a Paloma.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I like
the French blonde.
The French blonde.
I love a Paloma.
What is your favorite? Or your go-to?
Well, I don't know. I love a dirty martini. I love a Negroni. I love an old fashioned. I love margaritas. There's not much I won't drink. There's not much I won't drink. I'll try anything.
So do you drink wine too? Or,
yes.
Or beer? Like, out of the three, which is your favorite?
Okay, well, so I taste a lot of cocktails. That's what I do all day. And so I don't drink a lot of cocktails. When I'm done with work, like if I go meet my husband for a drink, I'll get like a Michelob Ultra and a shot of Espolòn. That's kind of like.
There you have it, people. That's awesome.
I'm a bartender at heart. You know what I mean? Like I just a cold beer and a shot of tequila. But I love wine. I love white wine. Like anything crisp and refreshing. I love IPAs. Mm-hmm. But I'll try anything. I'll get weird with cocktails.
That's awesome. So how did you start up your company?
So I was a mixology director, and what I did for this agency, and it's a very well-known and well-respected agency in Houston. I worked with national accounts, and I helped them with their beverage program. So more specifically, their menus. And so we would do site visits and there's so much more that goes into it than me just saying, this is what I like and this is what I think tastes good, so you should put it on your menu. You look at, the regionality and who they work with and the skill set of their bartenders. And so I worked there for a while, and just it became something that I just knew that I could do for myself. And so, one day I kind of had a shitty day at work, and I came home and my husband and I were talking, and I was like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know do I want to like try to be a supplier? Cause I left the agency for a little while and worked for a distributor, and it did not go well. It was a 9-month, it was not my cup of tea. And I was like, I wish I could just do what I'm doing now, but do it for myself. And he was like, you can. And it was kind of weird because, while we were having this conversation, a friend of mine who had also left the same place and started her own company in events, and she does like promotional materials. She texted me and she said, do you ever do side gigs? I'd love to hire you to do some cocktails for a wedding for me. And I'm so glad she did, because it was like, here it is. Like, this is your sign. Like, you can do this on your own. So I started MTM. That was in August. I started MTM in January the following year, and it's been a wild ride. Owning your own company is pretty stressful.
Just a little bit. I get it.
I've learned a lot. I call my dad probably once a week and ask him. I think my husband's terrified that I'm going to go to prison for like tax evasion or something. So I call my dad freaking out all the time, but it's been super rewarding. And I've worked with people that I wouldn't expect to. The gig I have with EC has been one of my favorite parts of this, but I've done a lot of like speaking gigs that I normally wouldn't have. And it's fun to push myself and prove to myself that I can do it.
I love your approach about how you go in and you get to, there's so much more. Like you said, there's so much more than just, here's some really cool cocktails that work, that are, that are surefire to get, people, but you go in and understand it and the talent level. And because the experience and talent level can really affect, the cocktail.
Right. And I think it's, it's a little unfair sometimes too, because places will come up with these, these mandate lists and their pantry lists, and these are the people that we want to work with. And they put together these great cocktails, and then they just kind of go like this to the bartenders. And it's like, okay, execute this, and you better do it properly. You better do it right. And they don't always want to invest the time and the training that you need. And you really have to speak to people, like they're human beings for a start, but especially with bartenders, you can't just go in and say, okay, this is 3 ounces, this is 1 ounce, this is what, you shake it and you strain it. You have to tell them why, and I think for a while, a lot of mixologists kind of were gatekeeping recipes and techniques and things like that. And it's not so much like that anymore. So the training is so important, and follow-up training. And you can't execute a beverage menu and then just have it there for 10 years. Things are going to change, flavors are going to change, and trends. So I love the training side of it. I love doing events. Events are a lot of fun because you don't have any like handcuffs. You can, do whatever you want pretty much. But yeah, I really like to do more than just, here's a cocktail recipe.
Go for it.
Peace out. Right.
Yeah. So, when do you you're just at home and you're like, that would be fun to put those flavors together. Do you try it out at your house? Do you, tell me about how you create a cocktail.
So
go about it.
It depends. So sometimes honestly, one of my favorite cocktails that I've done in the past couple of years, I was at a dispensary in Aspen and they sold these really great candles. I go to dispensaries for candles. I'm just kidding. So I got this candle. It was called the Ridgeway, and it smelled like leather and tobacco and black cherry and vanilla. And it was just the best. I'm a huge scent person. I think if I hadn't gone onto the beverage side of things, I would have somehow found my way into either music or something to do with scents, because I can be in the room with someone and just be like, I know exactly what perfume they're wearing. I know exactly what cologne he's wearing. Anyway, this candle smelled great. And I was like, I want to figure out how to make a cocktail that tastes the way that this candle smells. And so we infused wild turkey with leather. We used tobacco bitter, and it took a lot of trial and error to figure it out. We used an Amaro and black cherry bitters and a little bit of vanilla extract and all these things. And so that kind of came together because I wanted it to. And then there are times that somebody comes to me, a really good friend of mine just came out with a line of vodkas, and one of them is it's all for like sports clubs and sporting venues and things like that. So there's like a hot dog flavored vodka, there's a popcorn, there's dill pickle, there's cotton candy, and sometimes it's things like that you have to figure out, like if everything has its place, then what is the place of this hot dog vodka? And honestly, with that one, it was like, what the hell am I going to do with it? And then you start playing with it, and it's fun. You don't have to take it so seriously. Dip it in some relish and throw some tahini on it, and like have fun shots. So I think it's like the challenge can come from being the most creative person that you can be, that makes these really delicious cocktails, and then also taking something that's not an ingredient that you would necessarily say, one day I want to make hot dog flavored martinis, but then figuring out a way to make it work and ultimately have a guest enjoy that cocktail as well. So
you're so gifted. That's amazing. I mean, to infuse leather, people, that's awesome.
That was fun. I love doing infusions. I really like infusions. My poor husband. He'll come home and look, and he's like, what is in our refrigerator? Like, what is in these cabinets? And I'm like, just give it, 3 weeks. And then sometimes I forget about it too. But it's fun to play around with flavors. I have, like, this is kind of cliche, but Flavor Bible, and I just will look, this combo looks good together. This looks different, or this is an ingredient that's not listed that I think should be. So I'm just trying to figure out.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
So you were just on you're part of Bar Rescue. Tell me a little bit about that. Y'all, this girl, Rebecca, is famous, okay?
Not quite. I think I said 3 complete sentences the first episode I did. I don't know. I'm pretty mellow. I think I'm mellow.
Yeah, you're not like spazzing out like I am.
I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm mellow. I'm kind of hyper, and I'm also like anal retentive and high strung. But I think mostly I'm mellow, and I'm not like the type to be like, you're doing this wrong or anything like that. And so I think that when I was super excited when they asked me to do Bar Rescue, and then we got there, and I was like I'm not going to like yell at anybody, And so I was like kind of just taking it all in, and they were like, would you mind just talking? Like, can you say anything? And so that first episode was definitely experience. I've done one since, and then I'm shooting another one in a few weeks. So it's a lot of fun. I tell you what, those people work so hard. I mean, it's a huge crew. They are super nice. It's just, they're the nicest people. It's a lot of work, but it's super fun.
So, and you're going into bars and kind of helping them, rescuing them, like finding out what the problem is, or?
Yeah, I mean, you watch, they do the recon part, and that's when you're sitting and you're watching the bartenders working, and you kind of get a look behind the scenes. And a lot of the times you can predict mistakes that bartenders are going to make. For some reason, guy bartenders, every time they pick up an ice scoop, they put their thumb in it. 95% of the time, their thumb is inside the ice scoop. So you kind of know what to look for. Pour counts or not shaking a drink. So, I mean, a lot of bartenders just, barely shake the drink, and then they wonder why the dilution's off. And so, yeah, you just kind of identify what those problems are and come up with solutions, and then you shoot that part of it.
I love it today. You said, I wish my alarm clock was the sound of shaking.
Yeah, I would get out of bed a lot earlier. It could either be that, or it could be just a champagne cork. It's just like, those are things and that's one thing I train about too. Like, shake the drink so people can hear you shaking the drink. When people walk into the door of a restaurant or a bar, they should hear that you're making cocktails and making them correct. Like, who doesn't like that sound? It means we're making cocktails, we're having a good time. Even if you were at a funeral, if somebody starts shaking a cocktail, people's ears are going to perk up. So
every good thing happens around a bar, right? I mean, dancing happens on the bar. Like, I mean, shaking, like lots of fun things, like people having a good time. And I think that you're so right. I know that, like, on the culinary side, the chefs, what happens behind in the kitchen is so fascinating, but you guys are on display like all the time. Right. And just to watch like all the ingredients and what is going into these cocktails today is just fascinating to me to watch.
Well, you want people to have, I mean, people feed off your energy. I used to work at this bar in Houston called Lizard's Pub, and I started there when I was 19 probably, and I loved it. And then I was there for a while, and then I just didn't love it. And it wasn't anything to do with the bar or the people there. I was just always in a bad mood working. One day it was like, quit, go do something else. Like, figure out what you want to do, but don't stand back here and like harsh somebody else's mellow because you're not liking what you're doing, And so I saved up as much as I could for like 2 months, and I quit my job and I didn't work for 6 months. Just so I could figure out, like, is this what I want to do? And it helped me appreciate the industry more. And when I came back, that's when I went to the Hilton, and my perspective was changed so much that it really put me on a different path.
Yeah, loving what you do makes a complete, difference in your day to day. And even though like the restaurant industry, I mean, this industry is tough, and owning your own business is really challenging. But when you love, and you're passionate about it, and you care about that end result, and you're having fun, and you work around really great people,
that's so important. Like, working around cool people is great. And that's one thing about MTM that's been a lot of fun. This is going to sound kind of bitchy, but I don't know if I should say this. This is going to sound really bitchy, but it is something that I thought about. I want to be able to be a little more selective about who I'm working with. And I work with really, really great suppliers. And I work with some of my best friends, I really do. And it makes it more fun, obviously, but it makes me work harder. Like, one of my best friends is a national account manager for Campari, and they've got such a freaking killer portfolio to begin with. But when I work on projects with her, I want her to be impressed, because we go to happy hour together, we work out together, we make playlists for each other. It makes me more motivated and more determined to I want to blow her away with this. That's who I did the leather cocktail for. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's important to like what you do, but also like who you're doing it with.
Yeah, because we spend most of our lives working
and traveling. You know what I mean? Like, being on a road trip with someone that you don't like sucks.
It's awkward.
It's really the awkward. Worst. Yeah. So yeah, we spend so much time working. We spend so much time on the road together. It's good to like who you're with.
Yeah. So one thing you said today that I thought was funny. You said the theater. What did you call it? The theater?
Like dinner theater, drink theater.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit? I know it's your favorite thing. I don't know if y'all are sensing my sarcasm, but it is a thing. It's important. But
I think that so I feel like this all kind of really took on a new world, like post COVID, when people started going back out again. They wanted to be dazzled, and that's cool. I mean, it's got its place, but not every cocktail needs to be smoked. And one thing that I found is that when people are smoking cocktails, a lot of the times it's going to smoke out the entire dining room, and people are like, I'm trying to eat this soup and it smells like the inside of a barbecue pit in here. So I don't love drink theater and dinner theater. I think that there's a way to show that what you're doing is good without having to tap dance on top of a table. So I think, some of it is cool. I think that's another cool thing about working with EC is you can do all this table side stuff, but I don't necessarily want to, and I'm trying to think of an example that won't bite me in the ass one day. Flavor blasters are so cool. That's the gun, and it makes the bubble that sits on top of the cocktail. Mm-hmm. When I first started working with it, I couldn't get it to work. And it was how are we gonna suggest this to, a restaurant if I can't even do it? Not that I can do everything, but I just couldn't get it to them. So they came up with a solution for it. And so stuff like that is cool, but it doesn't necessarily have to be it feels inauthentic to me. It doesn't feel genuine to be okay, here's a drink that's fine, and we used this juice that's got a ton of preservatives, and we used, shit vodka and all this stuff, but we're going to put it in a box, and the box is going to light up, and then there's glitter in it, so you should pay us $25 for it. It's not a great cocktail. You're paying for the Instagrammability of it, and I don't love that.
Yeah, there are definitely those Instagram restaurants and scenes out there where they'll have this really crazy shaped glass, but the drink is like, really?
Right, here's this glass that looks like an octopus, but it's hand wash only. You can't stack it. You're going to use it twice and it's going to break. Like, okay.
And I got 2 sips and I'm done. And so, but yeah, like it doesn't have to be, I think that's the word, inauthentic. Like when you're trying too hard.
I went to London in March, and every cocktail that I tried was so on point, was so delicious, and there was none of this hokey shit. It was a really great cocktail that was made impeccably with really good ingredients, and I didn't need, the dance for grandma. Here's your drink.
That's okay. If I get to go to London, I'm going to have to get those places.
I will. I'll forward you my guide.
Yay! I can't wait. Yeah. I mean, that's how my husband and I travel. We're like, okay, where are we going to eat? Because that's what
we do too. My husband and I both travel a ton for work, and so when we're going out to dinner, we'll send the website. Like we'll text each other the website, and then it's really dorky. And then we look at the menu, and I'm like, I would get this, and he'll tell me what he would get.
We do the same thing, and we look at the drink menus, and I mean, it's all about the food and the drinks for me when I travel. It's not about like all these activities. It's
same.
Just want to chill, eat, and drink.
I love going out to eat.
Me too. I don't know if that's like, I mean, I heard that especially Dallas people, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's the same for Houston because you guys have a lot more, I guess, things to do with the ocean or the Gulf, close by kind of. But, like Dallas people, like all we do, like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, eating and drinking. I mean, like going out, and that's just
I love going out.
Yeah.
I love like girlfriends, family, I love going out.
Mm-hmm. It's an experience and it's fun.
And that's why I'm broke, because I love going out.
Me too. And my kids are going to break me too, because they have a really good palate. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, kids, I was excited to get McDonald's, back in the day. So, but anyways, things are definitely changing and evolving and everything. But I'm so glad we got to talk today. And so do you have a confession, or did I steal it earlier?
I mean, what is every time you say, do you have a confession, I get that Usher song stuck in my head. I guess my confession would be that I don't drink a lot of cocktails. I do taste them, but I don't drink a lot of them.
You don't complete them, like just a little sip and...
If they're, that's kind of lame.
That's not lame. That's a good confession.
So, I love them. I make good ones. I like to taste good ones, but I just, if it's up to me and I'm like ready to just like kick back and have a drink, just something simple.
Yeah. Well, I can attest that her drinks are incredible. And if you're ever at NRA, EC has a great booth, and Rebecca's there. She also lives in Houston, so you'll have to check her out and look her up. And if you need any tips on mixology, you should definitely reach out to her. So, but thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun. I'd love to have you again.
And I need more recommendations on where to eat and drink in Dallas.
Oh, we can help you with that. So anyways, well, thanks for joining us today, guys, and we'll see you next time. For more inspiration, follow our social media at W3 Sales. Please like, comment, and subscribe. All the things. We would love to connect with you.